Now we will talk about another topic, the Tarshid Net Zero certification. Please welcome with me engineer Mianda Khattab. She's a mechanical engineer whose profound extend to environmental engineering with an admiration for engineering field under different disciplines, being complemented by marketing operations. But please welcome with me Dr. Salah Al-Hagar on the stage, the president of the conference and the president of the Egypt Green Building Council, to give like small speech, and then Mianda will be on the stage.
مساء الخير جميعا. بداية أنا بشكر الدكتورة ميسون على الإعلان لأول مرة على النت زيرو انيشيتيف بتاع بنك CIB، وأعتقد دي مبادرة جميلة، وأتمنى إن كل البنوك في مصر يبدأوا يعني ياخدوا نفس السياق بإذن الله. في نفس الوقت النهارده برضو خلال دقايق إن شاء الله هنعمل إعلان تاني من الجمعية المصرية للأبنية الخضراء على أول شهادة، هي تاني شهادة على مستوى العالم في النت زيرو. أول شهادة كانت طلعها US Green Building Council من 3 سنين اسمها ليد زيرو، وده بتعطى فقط للمباني. الشهادة الثانية هي ترشيد نت زيرو سيرتيفيكت، ودي الجمعية المصرية هتعلن عنها دلوقتي إن شاء الله، وهي تعتبر الثانية ولكنها تعتبر الأولى من حيث المضمون. ليه الأولى من حيث المضمون؟ لأن ترشيد نت زيرو سيرتيفيكت ممكن نطبقها على المباني، ممكن نطبقها على المجتمعات، وممكن نطبقها على المصانع. وعلشان كده أنا هدعو دكتورة مياندا خطاب تعمل إعلان بتاع الجمعية المصرية للأبنية الخضراء لترشيد نت زيرو سيرتيفيكت.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Dr. Salah. So as Dr. Salah briefed first, I'm going to start my presentation on the Tarshid Net Zero certificate. It's one of a kind certification. I'm going to go through a few points. I'm not going to bore you with the content. I'm going to jump directly into it. So first, as we have been talking since the beginning of the conference, what is the net zero? And as briefly stated, it's in equal out. So the point of the net zero concept in general and why it's coming to be more of a focus globally and locally is that we need to balance the greenhouse gas emissions that we're producing. So this is the main concept of the net zero. We are aiming at reaching a theoretical zero out of our activities, resources, materials, and usages. And as stated in the COP 26, 27, moving forward, net zero, approaching net zero is mandated across all industries, communities, activities, and buildings. And this is where we have, focusing locally, we have started with having Tarshid Net Zero certificate. So before I dig into those 6 points, so imagine you're a local company in Egypt and you're already certified with any green certification. Can be LEED, can be BREEAM, can be any other certification. And now with the direction of having a net zero certification, you have the option either to go back to your main institution, like for example LEED, asking them to be further certified with LEED Zero, and by then you'll have some sort of the complexity of applying a global standards locally in an Egyptian market, plus the dollar value of the certification itself, as an example. So this is where the idea of having a localized, customized, affordable, and environmentally friendly Tarshid Net Zero came in place, where it meets the 3 main sustainability pillars, and it's easy to implement with localized materials in the market. So again, why to have a Tarshid Net Zero certificate? We're encouraging reducing carbon footprint, developing a plan to reduce the carbon footprint by 2050 as initiated in the COP26 and moving forward. Having a framework that acts as a guidance to everyone, investors, designers, and engineers all across the market. Creating a market for sustainability, inspiring innovation, encouraging sustainability practice that is driven locally. So, when I focus about net zero focused area, we have the 4 main buckets of the net zero that we've been talking about since the beginning of the conference. We have net zero energy, net zero wastewater, net zero solid waste, and net zero emissions. These are the main 4 sections for the net zero worldwide, and we are duplicating them or localizing them in our Tarsheed net zero rating system. But the beauty of this rating system, again, as stated by Dr. Salah Al-Haggar, is that it can be applied on a building scale, it can be applied on an industry scale, and it can be applied on a community scale. And just in a few bit, we're going to see again one of the very first success stories of a community that has been Tarsheed net zero certified. And it's a benchmark to the Egyptian market, and I'm very proud to say this in this conference. So again, focusing about the net zero points, main highlights for the net zero energy is that we need to make sure that we reduce the energy consumption by 40% or more, 40% at least. Net zero wastewater, we need to make sure that we're ensuring that we're utilizing, treating, and reusing 90% or more of the wastewater that's being generated from my community. And as we said yesterday, we are focusing more on the gray water, but we have several local examples of how the wastewater produced can be treated and reused again for irrigation and toilet flushing. Net zero solid waste, again, we're focused about utilizing about 90% or more of the solid waste being produced within my building, community, or the industry. And net zero carbon emissions is that I need to reach I need to make sure that my carbon footprint is 50% or less. Okay? And in case the facility that's applying for Tarsheed net zero certification, in case they do not have something in place right in hand to provide in terms of actual data proving that they have reached the net zero under any of those sections or many sections, we are open to receiving like a data sheet or a plan that can say that in the next 2 years, the community, the industry, or the building are committed to reaching the net zero, like for example, energy or so, by factual data sheets and activities or implementations on ground that they are committed to achieving within 2 years' time frame. So in a nutshell, what net zero certification levels, we have 4 main certification levels. Just like Dr. Shireen was talking earlier about Tarsheed in general, we have 4 main segmentations for the category. In the net zero certification, we have net zero silver, gold, platinum, and the top of which is diamond. The difference between each of them is that, as we said, we have 4 main sections for the net zero. So if you reach net zero wastewater alone, you're just qualified for the net zero silver because you're just approaching one net zero concept. If you go for 2, like net zero wastewater and net zero energy, for example, then you're qualified for the net zero gold, etc. The net zero diamond one is the top one in which you're aiming at reaching net zero in the 4 main buckets, starting wastewater, solid waste, energy, and carbon neutral. What are the certification stages? Very simple. The first one is the pre-certification, in which the investor or the designer or the project manager just applies the required documents. And I'm going to show you in the next slide what are the basic steps to do in order to apply for your project. And then after the documents are received by Egypt GBC, the board members and the team in hand are going to work together with the applicator in order to make sure that all of the documents submitted are complete, they are fine, everything is going on track, so that they can be eligible for the certification. Once everything is provided, either again by factual or facts on ground or by data sheets showing projections for the next 2 years to reaching the net zero under the specific net zero section of focus, then the community, the building, or the industry are qualified to receive their net zero, Tarsheed net zero certification. There is a certification maintenance in which, assuming, for example, there is something you need to add along within your project or something you have overachieved. If you have, for example, you applied for net zero energy and along your project duration before the renewal, which is known to be within 2 years, what if you were able to reach a net positive energy, and this is something you want to show within your community? So we have somewhere in the certification maintenance in which we can revisit the certification for uplift, adding a new stage or adding a new category of net zero focus within your already certified area. And then the certification renewal, it's the last phase, in which after 2 years of granting your original Tarsheed net zero certificate, you can reapply again for a renewal. The renewal can be either, again, I'm applying again for renewal under the Tarsheed net zero wastewater, like I've been granted the certificate at the beginning, or I can apply for Tarsheed net zero wastewater and net zero energy. I can upgrade as I want, or I can add additional community sections or segments along. This is granted, again, within 2 years. Again, the renewal is not a mandatory stage to do. However, once you started and you put the infrastructure, the technology, and you're on track to reaching net zero, so why not be certified, especially at an easily applied and a cost-effective certification. These are the registration process for the new projects. And here I'm talking about the new projects. First of all, the registration, you email the Egypt GBC info email. You provide the performance data, demonstrations, and the 2-year plan. Either the data sheets can be of 12 months of meter performance, if you have any performance in hand that you want to show, or a demonstration of what you're aiming to reach within the next 2 years until the next time of the certification renewal. And then you're going to have point number 3, the certification preliminary review, in which once all of the data sheets and the facts are provided in the performance, and point number 2, the status will be revised by Egypt GBC board members and the assigned engineers in hand, and then they will give an update to the investor or the design engineer of the project. And then the certification final review is that if everything is meeting the net zero approach under the applied for section, then the community, the industry, or the building are granted their net zero certificate. And again, the renewal is after 2 years. Unlike the LEED, for example, LEED 0, the renewal is after 3 years. So we're trying to make things a little bit easier to apply, cost-effective, and localized. So what are the requirements? Unlike the normal Tarshid rating system scorecard, we don't have a scorecard, because here we have points that we need to meet and then to be granted the net zero certification. So a must-have thing, which is the prerequisite, the first point is that any project that's applying for Tarshid Net Zero needs to be already green building or green community or green certified. No matter your certification, we are not mandating you to be a Tarshid certified industry or building or community. No matter the green certification you have, you're eligible to apply for Tarshid Net Zero. Then we have 4 main focus areas. The first focus area is the operation, in which if you have 12 months of operation or data sheets, again, to project what is the main section you're applying for. If I'm a community and applying for Tarshid Net Zero for wastewater, I need to provide 12 months of operation or data sheets of projection for the next year or 2 years maximum until the date of renewal, in order to say that by applying this kind of local technology with this kind of projected wastewater to be produced in my community and this kind of treatment, I will be able to reach on-site reuse of the treated wastewater either by 90% or more in my irrigation system for the landscape or the toilet flushing. Focus area number 2 is the commitment to continuation. Again, once as a community, I've started applying technologies, I've shifted mindsets towards the net zero application, then now I'm committed towards my community and the external community and the audience in order to keep on carrying on what I'm doing in order to meet the net zero certification I applied for initially. So there is a commitment on continuation. And again, if I do not have any data as of now to provide in my certification, then I provide a letter of continuation and commitment that I'm obliged to meet the needed net zero obligation by within the next 2 years. Renewal, again, every 2 years. It's not mandatory. However, it's preferable. You're getting the commercial edge. As we were talking just a little bit from my colleagues in the panel, they were saying that once you are green building or green certified with an edge of a net zero, then you have a commercial edge in the market. Your units are selling up fast with a higher price. And then at the other side, on the environmental side, you are working towards having a sustainable planet. The last part is the Tarshid boundary, which is an additional part in which, what if my project consists of, it's a community and it consists of 3 phases. And currently I want to apply for Tarshid 0, however I just have 1 phase that is in the build stage. So I can apply for Tarshid Net Zero wastewater, for example, and then as I go through within the next 2 years, if phase 2 of my community is up and I need to certify this, then I can go for Tarshid boundary, in which I'm saying this is a continuation of my project. I need to have it under the umbrella of the Tarshid Net Zero certification. I'm going through the same process again, but I'm building on the same technology, or I'm relying on the technology that I've used in phase 1. So its boundary, it's like, think of it like I'm bucketing my project into segments. I do not have to wait for the 3 full phases to be up and running. I can take it phase by phase and work on it step by step to facilitate things for the investor in which they can grant the certification. And additional points, corner points of this is this assessment tool. We don't want it just to be focused on the net zero certification all alone. We are focusing on the building industry or the community scale life cycle assessment, the sustainability and environmental reach, social acceptance, which are the, and the cost effectiveness, definitely, which are the sustainability main pillars of focus. And then we're talking about business modeling for the current net zero reaches. Where am I today from the net zero applied for versus the actual plan that I'm willing to go for within the next 2 years or less. Rewards and penalties, and this is something important because we've been talking since day one about education and awareness. And once I start to invest in my people within my community about education within my team, once people start applying things within the community, I need to make sure that they are abiding to this. And as we have been talking about the rating systems yesterday, that there is a part for the occupants rating system in which I, as a person, I'm committed to the environment that I live in. I'm committed to contributing to having sustainable actions. So there should be rewards and penalties, further motivating people to be more responsible and act towards the design and the certification in hand. And definitely, again, education and awareness. So thank you so much. And as a closing note, I just want to say that the Act Towards Net Zero starts today, and we're all accountable for this. And please stay tuned for one of the very first Tarshid Net Zero communities being certified. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mianda, for Tarshid Net Zero certification announcement and the complete description about this certification. Now we'll have our final or the last speaker in the conference before we having Dr. Salah Al-Haggar, president of the conference, for the concluding remarks and the moving forward. Dr. Shireen Fahmy, she will be with us on the stage. She will talk about Tarshid Community Platinum certification. And let me introduce Dr. Shireen one more time on the stage. Dr. Shireen is adjunct faculty at the School of Science and Engineering at the American University in Cairo, co-founder and board member of the Egypt Green Building Council, and she is the Chief Executive Officer of Eco Strategies for Sustainable Development. Please welcome with me Dr. Shireen.